Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is, as you can see above, Constance.
Spirit Box.
By the band Spiritbox. This is for the big homie man of... no, it's not for Man of X.
This is for Josh.
This
or
is
Joshua,
for the big homie,
if you don't like it shortened.
Joshua.
Yes.
Or,
also...
What?
Blastroid. Also Man of X.
Also
all these
Man
people
of X
would
and
like,
Blastroid, yes.
But Josh is the one that gets credit for bringing this to us.
And why is Josh the one that gets credit? Well, here's why, dear listener. There are multiple ways. There are multiple ways to get your song reviewed. My favorite is the community option, $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon, where you will meet the amazing Kellendross. Y'all want to know what Kellendross looks like? There it is, right there. Boom, Kellendross. We just added him to the broadcast. The fella up there, that's Kellendross. He's an alliance leader. We have lots of alliance leaders. You go there, you hook up with them, etc., etc., etc. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is the filthy capitalist option, like Sori, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You do that 3 times, you get knocked down to the $75 rate. You could do that on the Patreon side, and that has a bunch of tchotchkes and really cool stuff with it. Or you could do it on the PayPal side, vinsorimerch@gmail.com. And you get bumped to the head of the line. And as a bonus, if you do the fireside. Now, a fireside is a live stream. This particular kind of fireside is called a fire stream. The one that came up with that, I think it was a very brilliant idea. And a fire stream is when we actually Sori is the one that came up with the idea of the fire stream. I came up with the name. Fire stream is going to stick.
That's
we
what
all
makes
know.
such
We all
an
know.
amazing team.
Yeah, it's true. We do. There you go, babe. Okay, yeah. So there you go. Where you could actually watch us tape the reaction live before everybody sees it, which is what these guys are going to do. This video is not going to come out till like 2 or 3 days from now. So there you go. Lots of things. We're the most interactive reaction channel on YouTube. We're the greatest one. And so there you go. Okay, This is Constance. This is from the band Spiritbox. And without further ado, let's go. I'll pull the lyrics.
Watch it glow, it's so hard for me. Speaking darkness out of spite, coercion and caving in, wrap me in my bitterness. Give it up, complacent, just enough to escape it. Heretics wouldn't face me. Lose the trust and I want it. Pump the rough when you promise. Firelights when you're honest. It's hard to lose and wonder why you pressure and anger me. Like a slow-moving curve. Memories disappear. When I am holding you, if my sun won't set tonight, I look around, but it's so hard for me. Like a shadow passing by, crashing into ships and then fading with my innocence. Give it up, complacent, just enough to escape it. Heretics wouldn't face me. Lose the trust, I don't want it. Arms are up when you promise. Firelights when you're honest. It's hard to lose and wonder why I have been waiting my whole life for pressure and anger. Like a slow-moving curve.
Man, that was that was difficult. Her looked like it looked like Alzheimer's, which is I didn't really have I never had a relationship with my extended family because I don't know. There's a lot of things that went down between my mom and her brothers. I think that she ended up living elsewhere. The people that she called her dad, like her mom and dad, she never called them mom and dad. It was Aunt Diney and Uncle V. And they basically adopted my mom for whatever reason.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, for whatever reason, my mom and you could tell when they were all together, she didn't relate to them like she belonged with them. You know what I mean?
That was her literal parents, or they were the people that raised her?
Aunt Diney and Uncle V were the people that adopted her. But when my mom would get around her brothers, my uncles and aunts, you could just tell that she didn't belong with them. They never accepted her, whatever. But my point is that I never grew up with a grandmother. So I never experienced the whole, when I look at the kids, your mom comes around and it's oh, I get to spoil the kids. And, it's something I look forward to. I look forward to, not having to do any of the or any of the discipline and you just hand them off and you just have fun with them. But I never grew up with that type of dynamic. But my mom would go through these I think that things were really difficult for my mom at times, and she had access to all these medications. You know what I mean? And there were times when I remember one summer in particular where she was clearly ODing on purpose every single night. Every single night. There were times I had to. That summer, it was weird. It was the summer, I'm pretty sure, 1999. It was the summer actually I discovered corn. My mother and I were at the worst. That summer ended with me actually living with my brother. That's how bad it got.
Right.
And it got to the point where literally that night my brother had to get me from outside, and he took me to I don't even remember. I just remember being out there, and I was crying and I was bleeding and whatever, and then my brother, he basically said, all right, just come with me, and I lived with my brother for a year. But my point is, that summer, she was so fucked up on those meds that, there were so many times when she'd look at me and I know she had no idea what it was.
Oh my gosh.
She had no clue. And there were times when, it was almost scary because we had, 3 levels of the house. So, I was in the attic. I literally stayed in the attic.
Yeah. And
then the second floor was, my older brother's floor before he moved out, and then the second floor had my mom, and then down there you had the living room and then the kitchen. Mm-hmm. So there was one night in that summer, I went down for a midnight snack or whatever. I go downstairs, everything is off. I turn into the kitchen, I turn on the lights, there's my mom, staring straight ahead, completely out of it, and it was the most terrifying. And I've been in some scary situations where you'd be if I told you, you'd be holy shit, that's terrifying. And I've never been more scared. I've never even talked about this with my brother, this particular incident. But it was terrifying. I was in high school. It was 99. I turned the corner, I turned on the light, there's my mom, she's looking straight. She's looking straight at the fridge or whatever. I turn on the light. She was completely unaffected by the light. She just kept staring at it. And then she turns slowly and looks right at me, completely vacant. And I'm like, holy shit. And I just remember being like, thinking to myself, like, I used to think of myself like I was this, I don't want to say tough guy, but like I wasn't scared of stuff. People pull weapons on us, blah, blah, blah. Blah. I kept my gangster. I never, whatever. I was fucking terrified. I didn't know what to do. Because, like, I knew that, like, I didn't know what she was doing, and I knew that she wasn't lucid. And, she talks about lucidity here.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, my mom went through,
moment.
like, a weird little spot with medicines, too, because she was they couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. She had pain in her body every single day, and they were just trying a bunch of stuff to help her. And, like, yeah, there was some times, too, where, like, I would come home from being out with my friends and she wasn't herself. And it was because I mean, one part of it was kind of a little bit funny because my mom is like outwardly very compliant, but then like when she would be like on her medicine, like I'd be like, you should go to bed. And she was like act like a teenager. She was not going to bed. But yeah, I mean, it was a little bit freaky, like seeing her not as her regular self. So I can imagine being in a situation like that would be like really, I think that I mean, I don't know. I haven't been in a lot of scary situations, but I think that the idea of a scary mom is very scary to me because my mom was always like a very safe spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even when she was like that, if I would have been like, Mom, I'm in trouble, she would have been able to pull it together for me. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah. And my mom, that summer was particularly hard on her. And, for the vast majority of time, like she was the rock of the family. And when she couldn't do it, my older brother was. But my older brother, by that time, like, I don't want to say it this way, and he'd never say it this way, but he'd done it. He had done his time. Mm-hmm. Like he had upheld our family for so long, and it was just time for him to take care of himself. At the time, I didn't understand. I didn't know that, but like, so I'm sitting. I'm in the kitchen, and I'm like, holy shit! And the thing is, my mom, like, before she had a terrible situation, ended up with basically a compound fracture in the knee, and she physically wasn't the same ever again. But like my mom was like me, like she was just naturally, aside from you, my mother's the strongest woman I've ever like. You got her beat, but that you're an elite.
Well, that's the first time you've ever said that.
You're an elite athlete, but I remember like being, what do I do? Because I'm like, my mom, like if she wanted to get busy, like she could really hurt me. Because obviously I'm not going to hit my mom, but I'm like, she could really hurt me, especially in that state of mind. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, like when my mom was mad at me and she was going after me, I knew like in the back of my mind, like that's my mom. She's not going to kill me. It's just, she's going to be Jamaican to me. She's not going to but like she was in like a completely altered state of consciousness. So I'm like,
oh God, babe, that's so scary.
So I was just frozen there. I didn't know what to do, and I just like kind of slowly went up to her and I put my hands on like her shoulder, and she was like really tense, and I was like, I wasn't really good with God at the time, but I was kind of like, yo man, like you got to mail something in here, bro, because we're and like I just felt her kind of relax.
Oh.
And she let me take her upstairs. And she never remembered any of those situations. And, I didn't talk about them a lot. I didn't talk about them with anybody. But
oh, jeez, babe. Ooh.
To look at it was just a weird, once I got over the fear, I remember I went upstairs and I put on the first Korn record. I just cried through the whole thing. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning. And because I just remember being so sad. And the thing that was sad about it was I looked at her and I knew she did not know who I was. and that was like a weird thing for me. Like, I don't know. But, you know, the last conversation I had with my mom, like, she was pretty lucid and she knew who I was. And so God gave that to me. And then, you know, off she went. But, like, if you, looking at the lyrics where she says, dying sun burns in the night.
Yeah.
That's... I'm assuming that's kind of like what it's like with Alzheimer's, right? Because like they're like slowly like fading away, like their mind starts to break down, and it's like a dying. But like, you know, the grandparent is usually kind of like the link to the past of the family, and there's such a lot of families, a grandparent is like the sort of big feature in the family, and that's how it was with my mom. Like my mom was like such a huge personality that losing her was like the sun, like was just like burning out, you know what I mean? Like she was, you know, and you know, she, you know, none of, you know, all of us are different after that whole situation, you know, but like, I don't know, it's a weird thing, man, when you're looking at your mom and you know that she doesn't recognize that it's you, like, I don't know, it's a weird feeling. I almost feel like,
oh my gosh.
Because I'm almost certain she probably would have had Alzheimer's if she was able to live out to old age.
Really?
I'm almost certain. She was just, I mean, I don't really know, like, all of the things that cause Alzheimer's or whatever, but just knowing how she was horrible to her body, she was horrible to her mind, just, you know, looking at that, I'm like, the chances are very, very high that, you know, the last couple of years would have been that way. And, I'm almost, you know, we didn't have to go through that situation, so that's some comfort, I guess. But I cannot imagine, like, even though it was a hard situation, I lost my mom in a very difficult way. Like, I feel like the people who are, you know, like Jen's talking about, she's caring for her grandma, like changing her grandma, you know, like, you know, making, you know, just doing the last practical things you could do for a person. But then have that person not recognize you, but you have all these memories with this person, but you know that they don't have memories of you, and that goes on for 2, 3, 5. Like, it didn't go on like that with my mom. Like, my mom always, except for the last time, landed on her feet in those situations. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so she, you know, because she's bipolar, so she'd go on a downtrend. She had access to all these drugs, you know. So, like, it was, you know, she got out of it, is what I'm saying. Like, like, there is not a point in my mind, like even that moment I was in the kitchen with her, like I didn't think like, oh, this is gonna be like that forever. Like I didn't think that. I'd be like, this is bad, but she's good. But like when a person's got Alzheimer's, like it's not. There's not gonna be like, oh, this person's gonna bounce. This person's gonna bounce back. Like that's not how it is with Alzheimer's. Right, like it just gets progressively worse.
Yeah, and they usually have like. When it said dying sun burns in the night, it kind of made me think of like a lot of times they'll have like moments where they come back and they have all their memory back.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. It'll be usually something pretty quick, but.
And then they'll fade out again.
Yeah, but it's, you know, my grandmother's going through it right now. She's, I've been avoiding going over there for years. But she's in that situation. It was actually kind of sad because she had one of those. She's at the place where like most of her day she remembers, but then there might be like some days where all of a sudden she has no clue. But she was, I'm pretty sure I told you this. She was in bed and she didn't move all night, and my grandfather like could see that she was bothered a little bit, but he wasn't sure what was really going on with her, so kind of just let her be. And she just held the blanket up. And the next day, he went out and he was doing some things. Then he came back to the room. She goes, "Oh God, I'm so glad you're here." And he said, "Why?" She said, "There was a man in our house last night. He got in bed with me," she said. "I was so scared," she said. "I pulled the blankets up and I didn't move the whole night because she thought he was going to do something bad to her." Which was really sad, you know what I mean? But it was her husband the whole time.
I know. That would kill me. You know? Because so much of my, you know, life is about protecting you, you know. So I'd feel, That'd be hard.
Yeah. I think, did you ever see The Notebook? It's very old. I think everybody knows what it's about. But it's that. Like, it's their whole love story. And then you realize in the end that he just keeps rereading to her their love story together. And so every time he sees her, she'll remember him for that day. Like, she'll remember just like their interaction. And so he'll read their love story to her. And she falls in love with the characters and the story. But he knows the next day when he comes to her, she won't remember any of it again.
Shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one of the reasons, really.
I shouldn't have told you that. I should have watched it with you sometime.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one. This is the one where all the girls were breaking up with their boyfriends because they were comparing.
Oh, is that true?
Like, I was watching something on CNN. And like, this movie has completely destroyed. Like, this guy was engaged. Like, they had a whole article on it.
Oh no.
Yeah, dude was engaged and whatever.
Yeah, but see. You're like...
See, that's why, like this Colin guy, he says, Sleep Token has a song about sundowning. It's a form of Alzheimer's that only affects you at night. That's why, like, I'm not coming at you or anybody else, but that's one of the reasons why I tried to, like, keep the jokes about Biden at a minimum. Remember I used to say, like, I felt bad mocking Biden?
Yeah.
That's because a lot of people were, like, the miscues he was having.
Yeah.
Because you remember, all these debates happen at night. Right? Like 8 p.m. Eastern, whatever, right? So people would like or sometimes 9 p.m. People were making fun of it, but I was listening to Tim Pool one time and he was talking about sundowning. I didn't know what sundowning is, but it's basically like early Alzheimer's, like where it only affects you at night. So the person is like great in the day, and then night comes, and then boom,
pretty wild.
They're sundown. So Tim Pool was like, "Yo, this dude is sundowning," like, and everybody's like, "Ha ha ha!" And I'm like, "Holy shit, that's fucking tragic." And even if you look at like Biden, like from 4 years ago, I saw a video of Biden at like 2012 when he was going up against Obama. I mean, he was sharp, bro. Like he was not playing around. Like he was sharp.
Remember, everybody was like, he's going to bomb this, and then he had that discussion. When was that?
Yeah,
remember, he did really good?
Yeah, the Bernie Sanders.
Was that during the day?
Yeah, no, it was at night. It was at night. But I'm convinced that he was prepped. You know, I mean, they prepped Hillary Clinton, for God's sake, and Hillary Clinton's the most intelligent one of all of them.
By 7 dusted.
By a mile. You know what I mean? So...
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why, like, and I get it. It's funny, and I understand your point. Your point was, hey, like, he's putting himself out there. He's trying.
Yeah, if he wasn't.
But I'm like, I don't know, man. That's why I was always like, guys, like, we keep the mockery to a minimum, because at the end of the day,
you're a nice person.
No, it's not about being a nice person. He's got a family. My thing is, he's got sons and daughters, right? And like they have to go on TV and see their dad, and they know their dad is not himself, and like the whole nation's laughing at us. Like, you know, like that was my thing, is like, you know, the human aspect to it is
yeah.
And I get it, you know, he fell up the stairs, and I don't think he's a good dude. Like, there's a border crisis, all the rest of it. Like, that's a completely separate issue from what I was trying to communicate all through last year with the whole Biden situation. So, you know, but again, I understand it. He put himself out there, yada yada. It's a sad, you know. Somebody said by 2030, I think Armoire Steven was saying that you know, we'll be able to overcome Alzheimer's because we're doing a lot of neurological research.
Interesting.
And I think that's.
I always feel like Alzheimer's has something to do with... I know you guys are going to think this is weird, but I feel like it has to do with people that watch too much TV. I feel like that something about... Because you know, like when you watch movies and stuff, like you become part of it, but you're not really there, and you're not really a part of it. It's not really actually real. So I think that like when you... Like you're outside of reality. I don't know. I just think it does something to your mind. I don't think it's healthy to watch TV and be a part of something that's fake all the time. Like, I think it's very important to be in the real world and engaging with actual people. Babe, I see what you just did.
You are insane.
Yeah.
I don't think Alzheimer's has anything to do with watching too much TV. Well, then why did people get Alzheimer's prior to TV?
They never did.
Okay.
I see your point.
But
I think that it negatively affects it then.
Cattle murder. That's very unscientific. Also,
I never said I was a scientist.
Also, the Pope is Catholic. In other news,
Shut the fuck up.
the brain atrophies in Alzheimer's. Sorry, TV has nothing to do with it.
Yes, but I feel like the brain atrophies.
You must
when
really
you're just watching TV too much.
You must really know that you're loved by this community.
So I can just say whatever I want.
Only people who are loved by this community, and look.
Yeah, but I feel like it's true. Look, here's Bricktown. You need to keep your mind working, thinking. Yeah, I think that's true. I do.
Insane. You guys are insane. Okay, brutal song. Fun fact about the song, not so fun fact, but the song was not written about her grandmother. It was about the music director's grandmother.
Oh.
But her grandmother died, and she didn't get to go see her due to travel restrictions.
That's a real bummer.
So then the song also became about that too.
That sucks. See, Blastroid. This is one of the reasons why Blastroid wanted it. He said it hit a special note with him because he lost his grandmother this year. So that was
it's brutal.
It.
And also, I love the cadence of the verse, like the way that she.
I love the way she sings.
But it's not just like the way she sings.
The way that everything just kind of.
It's also the phrasing and things like that. Like
yes,
let me pull it up again.
Some people just know how to do music. It's like and the way she was like moving, oh my word.
It's like right here when she.
Dying sun burns in the night. I watch it glow. It's so hard for me. Speaking darkness out of spite. Coercion and caving in. Wrap me in my bed.
Like that type of cadence.
You sucked me into listening to the whole thing again.
That type of cadence is like it's so good. It's
she's
and like Ben's like, oh, this is like a pop song with guitars in it. Like maybe. I don't care. It's not an insult to me. Like I love that type of cadence. Like that's like one of the things that you cannot teach that. Mm-hmm. You give somebody a beat. It's the same thing with rap. Like you give somebody a beat, and that's like a lot of the modern like hip hop that a lot of aside from the mumble shit. But there's other ones where I'm like, okay, they're falling in love with a certain type of cadence. Mm-hmm. Especially like the Southern rappers. The Southern rappers were really the first ones that like really like changed the game with how they did cadence and things like that in the version. But anyway, this is a 9.4 for me. I guess an upside to losing my parents when I was young is that I really don't have to go through that again. I'm sorry that you went through that, Benji. That explains a lot of things. Though.
It does. His parents?
Yeah, he lost both of them when he was young. Okay.
That's sad.
I think it's a good idea to use a limiter on your mic because at times it gets really loud when you're close to it, and I've woken my neighbors at least 4 times.
A what? What did he call it? A what?
Limiter.
A limiter. Okay.
Listen, you're dealing with the tip top in technology on this channel, sir.
Yeah.
What do you give it?
I'm gonna match you on a 9.4.
Beautiful song. And shout out to Gen G and everybody who's taking care of people in that stage of life, man. Because we're changing diapers too, but it's for little babies, and like we know that the next stage is potty training. But when you're changing diapers for a person in that condition, that's not the next stage.
Right, and there's also the, as you're taking care of them, there's all that hope and,
Yeah.
But when it's at the end of someone's life, that's hard. Ugh, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
So 9.4 for me.
in order to understand the Vincest line that you're seeing up there, you'd have to be part of the fire stream, but you're not, so you don't.
You can go back and watch it though.
What can be done?
It's the one that happened on, what's the date? March 28th, 2021.
There you are, dear listener. So, moral of the story is take care of people, huh? Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.